Restoring Men in History, a fantastic one today for you men samurais. In regards, we're going to talk about samurai and self-discipline and mastery. And here's a quote from one of the greatest swordsmen who ever lived in Japan. Today is victory over yourself of yesterday. Tomorrow is your victory over lesser men. Miyamoto Musashi, A Book of the Five Rings. I pulled that quote for the beginning of this, and then we'll get to an article later. But here's the thing. What's that saying there? Victory today over yourself of yesterday. You want to get better each day, right? You men, we want you to be better, right? What are we trying to do here? Build men, build minds, build a republic, okay? Each day, if you get better, Tara, the next day, you'll have victory over lesser men, right? Each day you get better. So you want to be better each day. How do you do that? We're going to go through it here. Now that, you want to master yourself, you want to master something else, you want to have self-discipline. Let's go on. And let's go to, real quick, I'm going to tell a story. Remember the movie The Last Samurai, Tom Cruise? If you haven't seen it, it's got some interesting scenes. The ending's bad, but anyway, it just didn't make sense at the end. But The Last Samurai, Tom Cruise, he's been captured. He's a soldier in the American Army. He's gone over to Japan to advise. He's caught. He's living with them, and he gets up one morning. He's watching them. He watches them. And every day, these samurai go out and train daily, hourly, every day, dedicated. And he says this, they are an intriguing people. From the moment they wake, they devote themselves to the perfection of whatever they pursue. I have never seen such discipline. I am surprised to learn that the word samurai means to serve, and that Katsumoto believes his rebellion to be in service of the emperor. Discipline, gentlemen, can carry you a long way in life. How many people do you know that have discipline to do something every day, whether they like it or not? One is one area. But how many have the dedication to master something? To do it every day to perfection, like those samurai in the movie. And it is a fantastic scene because they are in it. They're in the moment of becoming the best. And we want you men to be the best you can be, to reach your potential. So this article also, I've put a bunch of quotes from the book because I read the book, and then there's this guy that writes wisdom from this book too. How to Build Self-Discipline the Samurai Way, Miyamoto Musashi by Joseph Burns, newtraderu.com. So he talks about the legendary Japanese swordsman. Musashi exemplifies intense self-discipline and mastery. That's what we want you guys to have. These are important to learn, we think, for men. During Japan's early Edo period, Musashi founded the two-style fighting style and philosophy that you see in that film that guided his and got him to be an undefeated swordsman. By studying his techniques and life teachings, he and we think you can develop discipline, focus, adaptability, and self-improvement. Discipline, focus, adaptability, and self-improvement. Those are four good things, right? If you want to be a success in life as men. I think all of them are. His path shows consistent incremental self-mastery, right? So it's not what you do one day or 1 week, Brian. It's can you keep going and do it every day or every day that you have time for it, but every week and every month and continue for years. You want to be great at something? Do it for years. Okay, do you have a purpose? Are you living purposefully? Are you continually bettering yourself? What are you trying to accomplish? How do you measure it? He's going to take in this article the philosophy and self-mastery. So we're going to focus on discipline and self-mastery. We can come back and do some other samurai warrior pieces, those other things. So he's considered one of the greatest swordsmen in Japanese history, this samurai. He was the founder of that style. That book's good. It talks about discipline, strategy, and tactics, which can apply to life. He emphasized in his book the importance of rigorous self-training, focus, adaptability, and living in each moment. This is a good one for today, especially. How many people do you know that are fully living with you in the moment? Are they on their phone? I saw a guy about walking to a pole at a major intersection. I said, hey man, you're about to walk in the pole. And I've seen it over and over. Guys not paying attention, walking with their phone across major traffic spots. So how many people are living fully awake and in the moment? So he believed self-discipline was paramount to mastering the way of the sword and life itself. And he exhibited the utmost discipline and daily habits to training to become the undefeated sword master. So how good do you think you become at something with discipline? In the film, they got up early in the morning, they trained, perfecting their craft of being the best samurai they could be. So what do you want to master? What your way, you want to be the way of what? They were the way of the samurai, right? What do you want to be the way of? Fill in the blank there. So he advocated self-discipline principles like this one, accepting death as inevitable. Do you do that? I mean, we're all going to die, right? So have you accepted death? And Band of Brothers is that character that has accepted it. He's very powerful in the film. He's a very effective soldier because he's accepted death. If you've accepted death, you certainly have an advantage in combat, right? Certainly in martial arts and everything. And also, we don't think about death enough in America. What if we did? We're not guaranteed tomorrow. And I think we should think about death more in America. I think it would make us more grateful for each day we have and allow us to be in the moment. But when you're training, you got to be in the moment to become the best at it. And what would that do for your friendships and relationships with your girlfriend and friends if you could be in the moment with them, not on your phone or whatever else? Right? Focus with them, listening intently. And that's a good skill to have, listening intently to your girlfriend or your friend. Learn about them and their goals and helping them, serving them, right? Because we're here to serve, right? Be flexible in your tactics. If something's not working and you're trying to master something, eventually you got to change tactics, right? So be flexible. Training both body and spirit, having a purposeful mentality and striving to better yourself each day. Are you striving to better yourself each day? Because that's the way you get there, right? Are you striving to be better? And what is it? And what's the why? Know the why, write it down, know the why, what it is. He exemplified samurai values and a devotion to the way of the sword. Fill in your way there, way of the what? What do you want to master? What do you want to be the best at? He accepted the inevitability of death and constant change too. Constant change. Do you accept that there's going to be change in your life? By embracing death, he freed himself from what? Fear, right? Allowing completely to focus in the moment, which meant what? He adapted to constantly changing conditions, applying martial flexibility to life as well. And we want you to be able to adapt to life. Things are going to hit you, they're going to come. Can you adapt to it? Can you handle it? Focus on the present moment. He emphasized focus entirely on the present moment in a battle or situation. So, fixation on the past or future creates distractions leading to defeat, he said, right? And this can be your overall life. I've watched people, I've talked to them years and years later where they're still focused on some kind of negative event that happened in their life. You got to get through that and past it. And they were not moving on. They were in the exact same place years and years later. We don't want you to do that, right? I mean, it's okay if they want to do that. I'm not judging. What I'm saying is it's probably not going to help. I haven't seen it help them. And in the battle, for sure, if you're in combat, you got to be focused in that moment, be able to adapt, change tactics. In a bad situation, or if in your business, there's something going on, you can find out who did it and whose fault it is. But in that moment, if it's critical and you're going to fail at your business or fail in combat, you got to figure it out and get out of that bad situation right then. Not sit there and go, well, who did this? Oh my gosh, let's worry about it. Let's complain about it. Complaining is not going to help you. Being flexible and adaptable, adapting freely to changing conditions was critical in his tactical principles. He stressed being flexible in body, mind, and spirit to flow with each unique situation. Got to be able to adapt. Rigid thinking loses the sight of the infinite options in an instant. Do you get that? There's going to be a lot of options. If you stay in this one and it's not working, you may lose. He freed himself from fixed stances and beliefs. You must, and here's a quote I pulled, you must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain. So that can apply to your business. You may get rigid and think that business has to be done this way. In fact, an app or something else may change entirely based on your customers. In other words, you might think you have an app and then the people start saying they want this and you change it. You adapt to make that work, right? Unless you're trying to have an impact with this and it's really important and you believe this is solidly important, right? But I'm saying you will adapt it some, right? Things are going to change and be adapted, right, to what the people want. You're going to change some of the programs or something, right? Probably. And some things. So there's more than one path. Don't be so rigid you can't adapt. Change tactics, change strategy. So he followed rigorous physical and mental training. Do you do that? I just went to the gym yesterday. Rigorous physical and mental training every day to forge his self-discipline. If you do it every day, I used to do this anyway, it doesn't matter what I did. But if you do it every day, you just get used to it, right? He conditioned his body through techniques, forms, and sparring while sharpening his observational skills. You got to notice what's going on, right? Strategy and mental focus. Do you have focus? By training body and mind as one, because your mind can get in the way. We're not going to stop here and talk about it too much. But if you say you can't do it, you can't win. You're impeding yourself and you're limiting yourself. Your mind is very powerful. So what do we do here? Build minds, build men. We want your minds to be powerful. Body and mind as one, he's saying. Here's a quote I pulled. You can only fight the way you practice. So when you're practicing, don't always just go through the motions. Don't just go through the motions. Do it like it's a war, like it's a battle, like you want to be the best, like you want to reach your potential, because the way you practice is the way you perform, right? I used to say, how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So are you giving 100%? Are you practicing to be your best or just go along? Are you practicing to be your best or just get through it? Are you mindful of the goal? Be mindful. Are you working to get better? If you're not getting better over a long period of time, are you adjusting tactics and strategy? You're at the gym, you haven't gained you're doing curls, you haven't gained in 6 months? Can that be accurate? Or should you change the strategy and change the exercise? You're doing a number of sets of the weight or something. Something has to change, right? You're doing bench press and haven't gone up in a year. Something's off, right? To know 10,000 things, and this is a big one, know one well. I pulled this quote for you because I think it's so important in America and everywhere, and to you. To know 10,000 things, know one well. So what is going to be your forte? What is going to be the one thing that you reach your potential at? And I think if you do that in America, you'll be rewarded richly if it's the right thing. If you can do one thing really well in America, I think it will really be rewarded. Living with purpose and discipline. He lived as purposefully daily. And we always talk about purpose. Having a purpose daily, having a purpose weekly, having a purpose monthly, having an overall purpose, right? Dedicating himself entirely, what was his? To perfecting his swordsmanship. What is yours? What's your thing going to be, man? His commitment to daily training, are you daily training? And focusing the mind exemplified samurai principles. Through disciplined purpose, he achieved what? Self-mastery. We want you guys to get self-mastery. So we already talk about that purpose all the time, have a purpose. He believed in continually striving to be better himself through self-mastery. Do you continually strive to be better? Because we want you guys to reach your potential. Rather than what? Obsessing over winning. So what is it? Just winning, but being at your same level? Who are you really in competition with? You're really in competition with yourself every day if you want to be better every day, right, Tara? If you're going to get better every day, you're going to judge you against yourself. Because you know the talents you have and where you can get to, right? So you're competing with yourself, and I'm going to repeat this, through self-mastery. You want self-mastery rather than obsessing over winning, he says in the book. Be better than yesterday. Just remember that quote. Be better than yesterday. Every day, mark it down, maybe track it in a journal. I'm better than yesterday at this. I got better today. So you're not worried about others and what they're doing, right? You're worried about what you're doing, and you're competing with yourself. So he talks about consistent self-discipline. There's a consistency. Discipline gives you a consistency. I'm telling you, if you have discipline, it will put you 90% above. If you wish to control others, you must what? First control yourself. Isn't that true, right? You got control of yourself in the situations. You can be calm and collected if someone else is emotional. There's other quotes I didn't pull about that. But if you can always be calm and collected, I think it'll help you. Now, this is a great one. 1,000 days of training to develop. 10,000 days of training to polish. You must examine all this well. So, think about that. Are you prepared to give 10,000 days? 1,000 to train to develop, 10,000 days of training to polish it. There's a book, Outliers, talks about 10,000 hours. Are you willing to give 10,000 hours to master something? are you willing to give 1,000 days to master something? Think about the dedication of doing something 10,000 days. And who else would do that? Here's another quote. Generally speaking, the way of the warrior is resolute acceptance of death. All right, we've talked about that. You must cultivate, and we don't talk about this enough in America, but we're going to do a whole video on this again. We did it a long time ago. You must cultivate your wisdom and spirit. How many people do that? And how much do we value wisdom in America today? You've got to value wisdom. Polish your wisdom. Learn public justice. And how many people can do the next part? Distinguish between good and evil is the quote I pulled. Study the ways of different arts, one by one. When you cannot be deceived by men, you will have realized the wisdom of strategy. We appreciate wisdom here. We want you to have that. It's having better judgment than most others, right? And this society doesn't focus enough on wisdom. And who has it? The old ones did it. Aristotle, Plato, they valued wisdom. Here's some warrior quotes. To become the enemy, see yourself as the enemy of the enemy. The important thing in strategy is to suppress the enemy's useful actions, but allow his useless actions. You don't mind if he's out there wasting time, running around, wasting energy and resources, right? If you do not control the enemy, what? The enemy will control you. That's a great one too, right? Now, this is, I think this is the last one. It's one of my favorites of all time. It is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. So be prepared, reach your potential, focus on self-mastery and yourself, and get going. Thanks.